Namaskar, very good afternoon learners. I, Dr. Renu Tomar, is back with you to discuss motivation in education. Friends, let me try to recap where we left. We were trying to understand that how motivation will help the organization and thereby the people will be further motivated. We were, the last aspect which I was discussing with you in my previous lecture was that if the people are motivated, that leads to the stability of workforce. Why stability of workforce is important for any concern or organization? It is generally seen that if the workforce is stable in an organization, as a new entrant also, we see that organization having a goodwill as well as being of reputation, because we understand that the concern of the organization which is capable of respecting its own employee, then that means that organization is providing good environment to the people, because if the environment is not good, then the people wouldn't be staying in that organization for very long. So friends, generally it is said old is gold. What does that mean? The old is gold means that the people who understand the organization, who has worked in the organization for certain time period, they are able to give the best, because experience and exposure in the same organization usually result in the best possible outcome. So the older the people and motivated if they are, then the best experience and the best adjustment in the concern results in benefit of the organization. As far as the educational organization is concerned, if the people are motivated, that means the loyalty of the people would be there. If the loyalty of the people is there in that organization, that means the people will be participating more in the management, and it is vice versa also. That means if the people are allowed to participate in the management, then they would feel loyal towards the organization and they will be more satisfied as well as more motivated. So, and as far as the skills and efficiency is concerned, if we allow the skills and efficiency of the employees to improve, then naturally it not just improves the employee and not just keep the employee motivated, but that also results in the outside people looking at that organization positively. And naturally, if the organization has the good public image, then that means it will attract good, competent and qualified people. As far as motivation is concerned, it is seen that the more motivated the employees are, more empowered the team is. More the teamwork is there and more individual contribution is there, the more profitable and successful is that organization. Thirdly, during the period of amendment, that is whenever the organization is undergoing certain changes, then that organization which has a motivated team, that is able to show more adaptability and more creativity, and motivation often leads to optimistic and challenging attitude at workplace. As far as motivation in education is concerned, it is usually linked with quite many words. That is autonomy, purpose, it is also linked with morale, it is linked with performance, and usually to get it we see from the perspective of carrot stick or reward theory. These theories are generally given from the perspective of learning, and they are also applied for motivation as well. That if the person does good work, then there has to be certain reward, and if person is not performing well, then naturally the person has to be informed as well as given some kind of a punishment. This is how the carrot and stick theory go. As far as motivation and morale is concerned, let us try to understand that how morale and motivation is different, or how are they related. They are usually seen by quite many people as being similar or same as well. Morale can be defined as a total satisfaction which is derived by an individual from his job, his work group, his superior and the organization in which he is working. And the environment is generally resulting in good morale or positive morale, and it generally relates to the feeling of individuals' comfort, happiness and satisfaction. Morale, as the Davis has said, is a mental condition of group and individual which determine their attitude. In short, morale is a fusion of employees' attitude, behaviors, manifestation of views and opinions, and all taken together in their work scenario, and which is exhibited in employees' feelings also towards work, working terms, and relation with their employers. Friends, relation with their employers is a very important term. That means if the morale is high, that means the relation with employers will be also positive. So, morale includes employee attitude towards the job, towards each other as well as employer, and it is generally specific reaction to their job. So, there are two states of morale, high morale and low morale. What does high morale means? High morale implies determination at work. High morale generally results in keen teamwork on the part of the employee, organizational commitment and sense of belongingness in the employee. Friends, it is very important for an educational institution to have people working with high morale, but that morale also be under control, and the leader should be so intelligent that he or she is able to control that morale to get the best out of it, that is getting the best teamwork being performed as well as getting the commitment of the commitment of the individual towards the organization. Whenever we talk about low morale is totally opposite to it. That is, there is low teamwork and the people does not trust each other, people does not trust the employer, there is no commitment to the organization and there is no sense of belongingness. So, these two states of morale leads us to understand that how motivation is different from it. When we talk about motivation, it means that there would be the individual is motivated and the result is the motivation in the environment and in the organization, because that usually result in conflict identification as well as resolution, and it is also seen that healthy and safe work environment is created in the context of people having high morale and the environment being motivated, and there would also be effective communication in the organization and increase in productivity. So, motivation is not different from morale, it is resultant of morale. That means if the individuals have high morale, then there would be effective communication, there will be healthy and safe work environment, there will be conflict resolution parameters as well as ways in that organization, and productivity of the individual and organization will also be improving. Similarly, in the organization where the individuals have low morale, then there will be greater grievances and conflicts in the organization, and of course, there will be high rate of employee absenteeism and turnover. Dissatisfaction will be there with the superiors as well as with the employer, and as far as motivation in that organization is concerned, that would be lacking, the individual will be demotivated and that environment will be precipitating in the team itself, and the result will be decrease in productivity and frustration of the employees and poor working condition. So, from here what we understand is that motivation and morale are closely related concept, and motivation is internal psychological drive of an individual which urges him to behave in a specific manner, while morale is more of a group scenario. So, morale, whenever we will talk of morale, that means we are talking about employees' morale, and whenever we will talk about motivation, that means we are talking about the individual. Because as far as motivation is concerned, it is usually seen that there are individuals who may not be very motivated, very keen to give inputs in the organization, but they might be motivated to work in other scenarios. Like there are people in the organization who doesn't like to do the work which is writing kind or application of theories. They want to experiment or they want to communicate. So that is usually, the motivation is usually internal psychological drive of an individual, and that usually come out from the individual needs, individual conditioning, individual behavior, and how it is impacted. It is impacted in form of the behavior of that individual in the specific manner. So motivation takes into consideration the individual differences among the employees, while the morale takes into the consideration the factors which influence group scenario or total work settings. So this is a very thin line between morale and motivation, but if the individual is motivated and the morale of the team is taken into consideration, then we can say that there is going to be the positive environment in that organization. Because of the organization, it is very important that motivation is also a primary concern, while morale should be secondary phenomena, because if there is high motivation, then having the morale in the team is comparatively easier. So if there is higher productivity, then there would be high morale, and it is not necessary that if there is high morale in the team, the productivity will be also at the center, because it may happen that there is high morale in the team, but the team is not being diverted in such a manner that it is productive. So a team having high morale and being productive are not the synonyms, but the individual having high motivation and that resulting in high morale and higher productivity are usually seen as synonyms. So when the things are tied to the morals, the usually things become part of the work environment, and when the things, that means the rewards, when the rewards are tied to the motivation, they are resulting in the performance of the individual, and if the performance of the individual is improving, then naturally performance of the team will also improve. So friends, from here on, let us try to understand motivation. Usually the first theory which I would like to touch upon is that of a Maslow, and Maslow is the one who is known to almost each one of us. Maslow in his theory has given the as you can see that it is in the pyramid shape, and at the top you have the self actualization, then it is followed by esteem needs, then it is followed by belongingness or love needs, and then safety needs and physiological needs. Maslow theory needs to be read from the context that the first and the basic need is physiological need, which is followed by safety needs. Then it is safety need is followed by belongingness and love needs, which is further followed by esteem needs, and esteem need is followed by actual self-actualization. Maslow, when he gave this pyramid, what he meant was that if the first need is not satisfied, then one cannot be taken to the second need, and if the second need is not satisfied, then the third need cannot be taken into consideration. So for an individual who is not able to fulfill one's own safety need, that person cannot come to the self-actualization need, which is of the highest order, and it is of the person who has been able to satisfy one's esteem needs. So in the hierarchical order, let us try to understand that as the listing goes, let us try to understand that how the human needs work. As far as physiological needs are concerned, they are most primitive, and they include air, sleep, water, food, shelter. What does it mean? If the individual is not fulfilling its physiological needs, suppose in the organization, if you are paying them well, but you are not letting them have a good warm bed or good food, not being given good water or sleep or air, and one is being made to feel as if the person is at the higher order, then naturally the person will not be feeling that way, because physiological needs are these are the primitive needs. To understand it further, let us try to understand that the individual, the people who are at the lower level and they are usually struggling to fulfill their primitive need, that is physiological need, that is air, sleep, water, food and shelter. And once the people have fulfilled their physiological need, then they goes to the second order. Second order was safety need. Let us try to understand that as far as physiological the first order needs are concerned, they can be satisfied by giving certain monetary incentives. So, that means just giving good words or giving some power, but without any salary. That means that if the individual is not able to fulfill it one's own physiological need, then the person will be displeased. So, displeasure is the force behind the drive to meet these needs. So, if the person is not able to fulfill these needs, then the person would be basically going for fulfilling these needs only, and once these needs are fulfilled, only then the person will go for the second order needs, which is safety needs. What does safety needs mean? Safety needs mean physical security, employment security and confidence. That means the person is sure of the fact that their physical well-being is protected. So, it means what is the organization's responsibility here? The organization responsibility is that the organization has physical security. That means if the individual is working for late hours, then the person should feel that he is physically protected in that organization, he is physically secured. Secondly, he or she should have confidence in the fact that the organization will take care of it, and the person has employment security. This is very important, because if the person doesn't feel that one's own employment is secure, then naturally the person cannot go for the third need. According to Maslow, the third need is love need, and the person or an individual comes to fulfill this need only if the physiological and safety needs are met. So, these two needs are more on day-to-day basis, and as far as belonging and love need is concerned, it is more of an interpersonal relationship. How can we have belongingness or love in the organization? By having high morale, by making people trust each other, by giving the goals which is achievable to the people, and thereby giving them space and scope to fulfill their social belongingness also. So, if the individual is doing well and getting appreciation and getting good words and getting belongingness in the organization, and he or she feels loved in that organization, then the third need, which is belongingness and the love need, that is also fulfilled. Friends, this is very important, not only from the perspective of employee, particularly in the educational organization. This is important from the perspective of students also. If the students feel that their belonging and love level is not being fulfilled in the school, then there wouldn't be any interpersonal relationship, and without interpersonal relationship, the students who are usually in the tender age, who are usually looking for some kind of a relationship, and if they don't have it, they don't get it in the organization, and the organization has a very distrusting kind of an environment, then naturally the person will not be feeling very satisfied, and he or she would be going to look for this need outside that organization. And that would mean that the students, if they are looking for the need outside the school, that would mean that the goal which is there for the students, that is to achieve to their best, that will not be fulfilled, and which is that need is the next one. To get to the next need, it is very important that the friendship and the good relationship and is there. And for this, another important aspect which I would like to add as far as this love and belongingness need is concerned, it is very important that as a manager, as a leader of the organization, one realizes that the employees should be having enough time and enough liberty to have good relationship in their family. That means having good family time is very important for giving the best in the organization. So, this is a basic need of any individual. So, if we think that making the organization just complete in itself and taking away all other rights from the organization, that is having the intimate relationship or the family relationship or the friendship relationship, then the organization will not be able to achieve one's own goal. So, as far as these relationships are concerned, that is having social circle which is smaller, this is something which one need to fulfill as to go for self-esteem need. So, as far as this need is concerned, we also need to understand that individual varies as far as this need is concerned. That is, few may be contented with having a very small social circles, that is having just the family around them and having few friends. They might be satisfied on having a very small social circle, and there might be few people who seeks larger social circle. So, accordingly the organization has to provide the avenue and scope to it. Maslow here argues that it is crucial for human to love others and be loved by others, and absence of this love results in things like loneliness, anxiety and depression. So, friends, this need is very important, and this need has to be understood by all the leaders, and we have to look for the scope and avenues for the individual so that they can fulfill this need. Another need which is very important, that is esteem need. What does esteem need means? Esteem means the person is able to have one's own ability. The person, if the person is very comfortable in one's own skin, that means the person is able to rate oneself well. The person is able to accept oneself as the person exists, and the person is able to recognize that they are competent as well as worthy of respect. If the person can accept oneself as well as respect oneself, then naturally the person would feel the esteem need being satisfied. That means the employee want others to recognize their competence and respect them. And when will that happen? This will happen if there is positive kind of inputs given by the employer as well as the seniors. If there is the culture in that organization where the people are giving positive inputs to the individuals in various form, in incentives or in the form of incentives or simply in the form of words, then the person will feel that the person is respected and the person's competence is being realized. Here I will also like you to understand that as far as Maslow is concerned, when he talk about these types of need, particularly the esteem needs, he says that it can exist at two levels, that is lower esteem need and the higher esteem need. When there is lower esteem need, that means the person is looking for prestige, attention, status and fame. And if there is higher esteem need, then the person has accepted the self as well as respects one's own self, and he is more freedom driven, independence and strength. The person feels strengthened because of the fact that the person feels free and independent of all other things. The last but the most important need, which the Maslow has termed as self-actualization need. What does self-actualization means? As Maslow has summed up, this means what a man can be, he must be. That means a person's full potential and one's own ability to reach that potential and desire to accomplish all that to the best of one's ability. This is self-actualization need. And when these goals and accomplishment are at the center of the individual, what does that mean? That means the person should be getting, for the self-actualization need, the person should be getting the good parenting, the person should be having liberty to pursue one's own key goals, then the person would be seeking happiness and personal fulfillment, and he would be grouping the hierarchy level. So, these are the requirement of self-actualization needs, that is good parenting and scope to pursue one's own key goals. Then the individual will be seeking happiness and personal fulfillment, and the hierarchy level needs to be grouped up. So, generally speaking, Maslow's hierarchy can be broken down into two different levels, that is deficit level D needs and growth or being needs, that is B needs. Deficit needs are of the first, second and third, and growth and being needs are the next two, that is self-esteem and self-actualization. So, D needs means physiological safety, belongingness and love, and esteem exists due to deprivation, which motivates people to meet those needs. And longer someone goes without those needs being met, the stronger the desire is, that is the thirst gets more interest as the time passes without drinking. So, once the person is satisfied, the need goes away, the person can focus on the other needs. So, as we have discussed before also, that it is as far as the Maslow needs is concerned, they are in the hierarchy. That means the first need, that is like the thirst, if it is fulfilled, then the person can go for the safety need. If the safety is fulfilled, then the person can go for the belongingness and love need. If that is fulfilled, then the esteem need is concerned, they are the D need. And B needs means self-actualization, because here the person is looking for desire to grow as a person rather than resulting from lack of something. It is desire to gain something intangible for the self. To meet these needs is to reach what Maslow called self-actualization. So, if the person, if he has been able to achieve the D needs at first, second, third, fourth, then he can go for the B need, which is self-actualization. Let us try to understand the needs from the two level also, intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic, as the word itself states, that it is generally from the inside. Since 1970s, the psychologists have tried to understand that why certain people are very motivated and certain are not, because that is called intrinsically motivated. That means the individuals try to go for the best for themselves because they are intrinsically motivated, and it is responsibility of the educational organization that the students remain intrinsically motivated. They should be high achievers and they should be trying to get the best. But the organization should also have the extrinsic motivation in the environment. How to have the extrinsic motivation? Extrinsic motivation would mean that the environment should be there, the competition should be there for the students to get the best. And in that competition, the crowd cheering is something, giving trophies is something which is extrinsic incentives. So, that is something which should be there in the educational organization. So, as far as the socio-psychological research goes for the motivation, it is seen that the extrinsic reward does work, but intrinsic motivation is an important component for becoming people, particularly the students, goal oriented. So, giving just the gold medal is not sufficient, but also as far as the room is concerned, as he has stated in the in his theory, that motivation should be intrinsic as well as extrinsic to achieve the best in that organization. And along with that, as the expectancy theory states, that there should be drives and desire for the deficiency which will activate behavior, and to that there should be reward, because if there is hunger, then the person will be motivated to seek food, and once the person has sought food, and if he has cooked food, then he or she looks for praise and approval. So, person behaves in a manner which is pleasing to others. So, this should be kept in mind by all the leaders for keeping one's own team motivated. So, friends, on this note, I, Dr. Renu Tomar, signing off to meet you again on another new topic to talk about. Till then, goodbye, have a good day, thanks a lot.